Luka Doncic has been banged up, bloodied, and frankly beaten up this entire postseason run. It's already been a very physically taxing run for Luka Doncic. He came into the postseason nursing a sore knee, and in game 2, he accrued a few more nicks and bruises along the way. In quarter number 1, he face planted on the floor, almost chipped a tooth, thought he was at least gonna bust up a lip if anything, and then he tripped over Lou Dort in a loose ball interaction, twisted his ankle a little bit but recovered, and bloodied his knee earlier in game 2 as well. So many injuries are trying to piling up for Luka Doncic, but he's still hung tough. Coming into game 2, he's struggling from outside. In game 1, he was just 6 out of 19 and 1 for 8 from downtown as the OKC Thunder cruised to a game 1 victory thanks to gilgeous-alexander and Jalen Williams as well. But game 2, we saw same kind of game from SGA. He's been phenomenal and came up as runner-up in the MVP race, but still had a phenomenal year and phenomenal postseason run as of late. But he didn't have a lot of help, and Luka Doncic set the tone immediately. We saw him knock down three-pointer after three-pointer, 4 for 4 start, including 2 triples in the first quarter, and that helped the Mavs get off to a great start. And we saw PJ Washington kind of carry the torch from there, where he was on his way to making 7 three-pointers on the night en route to a playoff career high of 29 points. And it just felt that OKC was just going to leave and live with PJ Washington taking open corner threes, and he continued to make them pay all night long. And in the third quarter, Tim Hardaway Jr., who I've kind of picked on in the past because in the postseason runs as of before, he hasn't been consistent as a wingman for Luka Doncic. In previous postseason runs, he's been very boom or bust, and that's kind of been the whole reputation he's accrued in his career. But in game 2, he was phenomenal in the third quarter. Three-pointer and 1, jump shots, and that's the scoring punch they need off the bench, because we know that there's Josh Green, but after that the rotation gets kind of thin, especially with Maxi Kleber probably going to miss this entire series against the Thunder with that AC joint sprain. So they're going to ask more from Tim Hardaway Jr. In game 2, he rose to the occasion. And it's been up and down, and maybe you can't depend on that consistent performance, but at least that's a positive sign as the series shifts over to Dallas, because game 2 went the Mavericks' way. They picked up a comfortable victory to knock the series at 1 game apiece. But obviously we know this series is far from over, because we know that the Thunder are young, they're youthful, but they're going to get better performances from their role players. They're going to need it, because I do think that Coach Mark Dagnall is going to need to make some adjustments. In this entire postseason run, they've gone with 10 men, and consistently we haven't seen a lot of 10-man rotations in postseason runs. It usually gets trimmed down to 7 or 8. With the starters logging at least 40 minutes consistently, and then the bench players maybe get 15 to 20 minutes, and then maybe another player gets about 8 to 10 minutes. But we're seeing some unproductive minutes from Josh Giddey and Gordon Hayward. Starting off with Josh Giddey, he's been left open on three-pointers on a consistent basis in this postseason run, and it's just not a move that you can afford, because if you're being left open, you have to start making these open threes, but he's just not doing it at an appropriate clip. And on the defensive end, he's getting attacked left and right and basically being played off the court, which we only saw him play 11 minutes in game 2. And then for Gordon Hayward, I mean, he has played 38 minutes in this postseason run, only taken 2 shots, missed both, and just not really a lot of production. It doesn't justify him being on the court. He's honestly washed. I feel those Gordon Hayward minutes would be much better if you gave them to Jalen Williams or Isaiah Joe or even Wiggins, for example. I think all those players have been great, but they just get some of their playing time cut out due to these wasted minutes on Gordon Hayward. As the series now is a best of 5, it's anyone's guess who wins this series, but definitely favors the Mavericks as they've stolen home court, but definitely don't count out OKC. They have, yes, lost the home game, but I do expect them to make some adjustments, and they still have the deeper roster, and they should be able to fish out a game because Dallas hasn't been consistent at home. But right now, momentarily in this series, it is advantage Mavericks.